Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome aboard the Voyager and welcome to Chicago. Just a quick safety announcement before we depart. This is a U.S. Coast Guard passenger inspected vessel. That means we carry life jackets for and 88 children's life jackets. Children's life jackets are located in the forward compartments underneath the wooden benches. Adult life jackets are...
Louis Sullivan thought that was old school. Sullivan says make it new and get your forms from American Nature. It's going to be a part of what we talk about. We're also going to talk a little about the engineering that's critical to a city on a swamp. First off, the Lakeshore Drive Bridge, a double-decker drawbridge. It opens up and out from the center. It's called the bascule style. That's French seesaw. Weights on either end, it opens up and out. All of the bridges that we'll see today are bascule style drawbridges. Chicago has 53 movable bridges in the city limits, more than any other city in the world. All the bridges, as I say, are bascule style drawbridges. Let's drill down on some architecture now. Ahead on the left, a tall blue tower with curving white balconies. That is the Aqua Tower by Jeannie Gang. Condominiums new in 2010. The curving balconies are inspired by waves on the lake, forms from Europe, then Art Deco, modern, and postmodern in chronological order. Each generation wants to express its unique ideas and values with its colors, shapes, and materials, often trying to go against the grain. This is the Swiss Hotel by Harry Weiss, completed in 1988. So it's contemporary, or what we call postmodern style. Blue glasses, little if any ornamentation, dark colors, boxes and rectangles of steel and glass. A lot about him as we go. The bright blue triangle from today's postmodern style, the previous generation. The dark, a gray stone tower with a yellow onion dome roof that is now the Intercontinental Hotel. Completed in 1920, Islamic ornamentation that you will see on any mosque, and it makes it very unique in the context of our tour. Now, straight ahead of us, this curved, bright blue glass tower with the tall spire is Trump Tower, Chicago. The Donald's Luxury Hotel and Condo Tower by 20. This is Beaux-Arts style, a la Dan Burnham. Get your forms from Europe. Rich ornamentation in a Spanish Gothic style. The clock tower inspired by one in Seville, Spain. The building's not simple boxes, but more complicated geometric shapes. Recently declared a National Architectural Landmark. Also now the home of Groupon. Continuing west, I want to go to the left for more Beaux-Arts in the 1920s. Here on the left, the London Guarantee Building, 1923 Beaux-Arts, but a more complicated geometric shape. Rich ornamentation with a European influence. Beaux-Arts style, 1923. It's Saturday, it's wedding day. Congratulations, we do the royal wave. Here on the Voyager. Let's stay with Beaux-Arts. Ahead on the not have to take their valuables out on the street. The engineers coming through. Featured in the movie Batman Begins. Batman Begins and The Dark Knight were filmed here. Batman likes to lurk on the lower right-hand dome when he's uncertain about whether or not he wants to remain the Batman. Next on the right, the distinctive twin towers of Marina City Condominiums, 1967, by my man Bertrand Goldberg. Condos atop a parking garage atop a marina. So you can park your boat under your car. So it's 1967. We expect a modern box of glass and steel. Goldberg uses a circle. He thinks that's more organic, a la Louis Sullivan. Instead of glass and steel, concrete glass and steel. Reminds me of G-Gang's Aqua Tower with the curving balconies. Only one car has come off the garage into the river for a Steve McQueen movie called The Hunter, 1980. It took 11 cars and 11 takes to get the shot. Stay to the right. Really stored their oats on the river back when this was a major commercial shipping lane, which it has not been since the 50s. So the older buildings we'll see, dig in the shade. So again, the very first skyscrapers ever built were built here in the 1880s, the original style known as Chicago style. Here's an example ahead on the right, brown brick, green glass. Now the home of Helene Curtis, built in 1912 as a coffee warehouse. A column and a capital, like a Greek column, like the first skyscrapers built here in the 1830 Art Deco in style, commissioned as a warehouse by Chicago retailer Marshall Field. It's now a wholesale furniture distribution center. So if you own a furniture store, you come to Merchandise Mart to look for stock. The busts here code and its own commuter train stop. In fact, it has more office space than Sears Tower. The Illinois River, then the Mississippi and the Gulf. This is the major commercial shipping lane that allowed us to become to work, shop, or in my case, go to traffic court. But now, one pays a premium to live in the downtown, especially along the river. Here on the left, River Bend condominiums, new in 2002. They face east. The western side, the other side are the hallways, so the condos all face east. It's also back toward the south branch of the Chicago River. Straight ahead of us, a black glide combed into the kayakers ahead of the boat. The curved eye and the beautiful building, again still influenced by Louis Sullivan, influenced comedy and tragedy masks from ancient Greek drama, but more subtle than domes and columns, hand-carved ornamentation like we no longer see in the contemporary. If I start to slur my speech, I know Cousin Eddie slipped me a Mickey over here. We're watching you, Ed. Here, the fire starts at the O'Leary barn. It's fed by the wind north and east towards the river. Now, amongst pollution, there was some water in the river, but the river was so polluted by everybody else, we've lost over 30% in our real estate values across the board. This year, for the first time since 2008, we're building in the downtown again, but out in the neighborhoods. The Fujikawa Johnson, 1992. It's postmodern. Check out the roof. A tribute to the temples of ancient Greece and Rome, like the Parthenon in Athens. Very Beaux-Arts. Postmodern architects love to refer to older styles. A modernist would never have done that roof. We love to do it now. Corporate headquarters for United. Leo Burnett Advertising from the late 80s, so it's postmodern, very detailed, rich ornamentation, but it's also during Prohibition to look like a champagne bottle. I like that story. That's real gold leaf at the top, and that dark green terracotta brick, very unique in the 1920s. We're used to dark green now, but it was really striking back in the day. The State Street Bridge, so down to the right, State Street, Michigan and Navy Pier. On the left, the old IBM Tower. This is by the great Mies van der Rohe, the last of his designs before he died. Completed in 1971, pure, austere, mid-20th century modernism. Mies was the first to do this and clearly influenced an entire generation of architects around the world with his modernist style. Back to Trump Tower, second tallest building in America. These steel tubes at the base are called caissons. They're filled with cement. They go through the topsoil into the bedrock to anchor the tower. More of the engineering that's often hidden that are exposed here. Parking garage, hotel, condos. $1 he's saying. He's pricing them as though they're out on the lakeshore, which they're not. He's going to have to rethink his prices. He's having trouble selling units. Ahead on the left, in the sun, gray limestone. This is the Tribune Tower by Howells and Hood, 1926. Beaux-Arts, French, Gothic. Those braces near the top that go up and in are called flying buttresses. The design literally based on a cathedral in Rouen, France, home of the Chicago Tribune newspaper. Water show must be over, folks. A mass exodus off the lake now. Like this on a Saturday afternoon, but again, everybody's out there for the Air and Water Show, which has clearly wrapped up, but it starts again tomorrow. Be here tomorrow as well, folks. Air and Water Show. The main stage, as it were, about a mile to the left, north at North Avenue Beach. Now as we head towards Lake Michigan, residential neighborhoods on either side.
Soy reportero de Maxivisión aquí,
And as we
conociendo la
approach
ciudad
the
de
shore,
Chicago.
we
Gracias,
approach the most
muchas gracias.
expensive real estate in the
Feliz viaje
region.
al retorno de Chicago.
The downtown lakefront is
Ecuador
the top of the line of residential real estate. Ahead on the left, this curved black glass tower is Lake Luxury condos. Now that the lake empties into the river, we have to control that outflow, maintain a consistent lake and river level. So if Captain Dan were going to take us out to Lake Michigan, we'd go ahead on the right through the lock. We're going to turn left and take her back to Navy Pier. Indeed, ahead on the left, Navy Pier, built in 1916 as Municipal Pier number 1. Shortly thereafter, named in honor of naval veterans of World War I. During World War II, it was a naval training base where we trained pilots in taking off from and landing onto boats. Trainees included the first president. In 93, 100 years after our first World's Fair. That World's Fair took place about 4 miles behind us down shore at Jackson Park. Among other things, Navy Pier's got...
Regalo un tonito.